Hey everybody, it's Gypsy. Um, Today I want to talk about faith. I think a lot about that and the definition and, well, what it means. I guess because, well, in the country I live in, to say you have faith or you mention your faith, it's always in reference to Christianity, which I'm certainly not complaining about because it is a valid way to use it. But I guess, I don't know, several months back, I had this situation on Twitter. I guess I mentioned I was no longer a Christian. I was a Christian for the first 45 years of my life. And I'm going to be 59 this year, so it's been a while. But this one young woman couldn't understand what I was saying. And she says, "Well, what happened to your faith? Why don't you have faith anymore?" And I was like, "What?" I said, "I have more faith now than I have ever had. I do." And it's not a bash on Christianity. It's who I am and where I am at this point in my life. So I had to explain, yes, I still have faith. I'm just not a Christian. Um, like I always say, if sorry, just gonna just asked my man if he would pick me up something at the store, and he said, "Okay, thank you, honey." um, how do I explain this? Wow, I lost my train of thought. But anyways, when I left Christianity, people, even those closest to me, assumed I was now an atheist and that I don't believe, well, in God or any type of, and I'm like, what? Just because I left Christianity does not mean I'm an atheist and I have no faith. I'm a very spiritual person, and I have my experience with, well, source, beings of higher dimension, source God, the creator is who I'm talking about, in case you don't understand what I meant. Sorry. Source God, the creator. I know that, to me, who is the original spirit from where everything comes from, I know exists. I know firsthand there's an afterlife. I have a very strong awareness of other realms, I'm going to say, such as heaven, higher dimensions, etc. So that is faith. That is my faith. My faith doesn't really have a specific label, and that's okay. If you have a label, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine. I guess I would have to use spiritualism if I had to pick a label at all, but it's not even that specific. I do claim to be a green psychic medium witch, but I'm not like a typical witch who's into a whole bunch of deities and stuff. Green witches have a tendency not to be quite so religious, where we don't really get into the gods and goddesses thing. I love the concept. I love to learn about it. My two female cats are named after goddesses, and just, it's an interest. I enjoy it, but it isn't like a religious thing to me. And we have to remember there are other faiths. Now, I grew up in an area, went to a school where everybody was either Italian or Jewish, most of the people. And so I had Jewish friends. Well, that's a different faith. I grew up Christian, so they were different faith than me, but it was their faith, and it's still a faith. You have um, Muslims, Baha'i, pagans, etc. So many different spiritual paths. And that is their faiths. Okay, there's not just one faith. Atheists, I just tell him, my son was an atheist when he was alive in this realm. I was telling him, correct me if I'm wrong, and he said he would. Atheists don't believe, well, in anything other than this physical plane. They don't believe there is a God, a creator. Um, all of this, all of this beauty. I don't know if you could see outside. Well, you probably can't because of the glare, but I'm practically in the woods. All of this beauty is just happenstance. Everything's just happenstance. There's no creator, there's no afterlife. When we're done here, we don't exist anymore. That is, well, no faith in a higher being, higher dimensional realms, etc. So that maybe I would consider no faith. But when you have faith in God, a creator, whatever concept you have, that is a faith, whether it's Christian or not. If you are aware and you have belief in the afterlife, that's a faith, etc. And so I just kind of felt this need to explain this. Um, because my faith is, yes, I do believe in Source God, the Creator. I may view him differently than Christians do. Uh, I refer to Source God as it because, in order for us to be either male or female, Source God has to have both energies within it because we are pieces, parts of Source God. We come from Source God. So, in order for female to be created, Source God has to also have female in it. That's the way I look at it. Okay. I am only explaining my faith. What I will never do is try to push my faith on someone else. I'm merely explaining mine. I don't care if you agree with me or if you don't. Um, like I always say, if your faith, if your spiritual path is working for you, go for it. Continue. If it's not, you might want to uh, look within and um, consider a move to a different path, whatever that may be. So I do have that um, faith. There is a creator, there is a higher being who created everything within the universe. Uh, I believe there are higher dimensional beings. I believe after we die, we are eternal beings. And when we no longer have a physical body, anytime we don't have a physical body, we are a higher dimensional being. Okay. And there are different types of higher dimensional beings. I believe we are eternal beings to the extent that I believe we existed before we were born. Um, I believe in reincarnation. Maybe not so much like other people do. How I believe is that we have a higher self. What I like, I refer to it as a soul. Technically, I don't know if that's right or not. That's just how I look at it. And this soul, which is a higher aspect of ourselves, kind of does what Source does and takes pieces and incarnates at various times in history, and yes, on various other planets. Um, and we are the spirits who incarnate, and we are eternal. We are not specifically the same spirit who is incarnated time and time again. There are different aspects of our higher self, which are therefore different aspects of ourself. Could be hard to understand, okay? Um, and that, I suppose, is my basic belief. Um, there's more to it, but I'm not going to get too technical. But I believe that based on the word faith, which is having a belief in something, I don't want to say unknown because I don't believe in blind faith. Blind faith is dangerous, but faith in things that are hard to understand and, well, see. but we do get clear cognizance with like a knowing, a feeling. We have experiences, spiritual experience. We, from time to time, can see a higher realm. And that's where my faith comes from, okay? Because I've had these experiences. Um, and it's not that I know, because I couldn't possibly know everything. And like a teacher of mine said from a past life, a long time ago, when I think I know everything, then I know nothing. And I think that is something that I've carried with me through each life, or other aspects of myself have carried. I know this aspect of me does resonate with that teaching very much. So it is, in essence, a faith. Um, so we must remember there are many different spiritual paths. So therefore, there are different faiths. Now, what we must know about all these faiths is that basically they all have morals and family values. What we have to remember is in every group there are going to be a few bad apples. It is up to the individual to make the decision to have faith and family values. Okay? So when we talk about our country and bringing back faith and the family, it is not um, solely Christianity. It's Christianity, Judaism, Muslims, spiritualists, pagans, witches, yes, witches, have values, family values, and faith. To be incarnated in a body and reach up for that faith and desiring that knowledge all the way up to our Creator, Source God. We desire that because of who we naturally are, spirits. That takes a lot of faith. It does when we're incarnated, because we lose our knowledge when we come here. So, yes, I think we have to stop thinking that patriotism, love of our country, love of God is only for Christians. So long as we think these beautiful things are only for one group, we will constantly be putting this country at risk for tyranny, because then we are going against our Constitution and we are requiring a state religion. It's kind of like the other day I spoke about one world spirituality, which I told you is not possible because we are unique beings who have unique spiritual paths. So we cannot do that. But we must remember there is not a monopoly on morals, family values, or anything good. There is not a monopoly on God. There is not. We may have different ways of viewing God, and I believe that's true. But these different ways aren't really all that different if you really look closely. If you really look deeply and think deeply about these things, you'll be able to see that. So, anyways, I just felt the need to talk about my faith, give you a little insight into what it is, what it's like, and how I feel about other faiths. Always, always. If it's helping you grow spiritually, then go for it. If it's not, you need to start seeking. Okay? So, whatever your faith is, and to me, when I say faith, I am talking about ones that do not hurt others. Anything that hurts someone else, I don't consider a faith. I'm sorry, I can't. But that's me, okay? That's okay. So I'm going to leave you with that. Blessed be, and make it a joyful one.